Okay, so normally when we come to a magic world, like something's happening. Like monsters are trying to eat it, or it's melting, or something's going to explode, or it's Armageddon of some kind. Something bad is going to happen. And we did something a little different this time. We went to Kaladesh, like, take a breath. Like, it's nice, it's peaceful. No one's trying to eat it, but it's a magic world, and obviously in a magic world, something's going to happen.
Kaladesh, an expressive, optimistic world of inventors and invention, has, through the influence of Tezzeret, suddenly been placed under martial law. The consulate has issued a crackdown, and freedoms are impinged, inventions are confiscated, and this does not sit well with the populace. A small band of rebels, of renegades, who had previously been causing some minor disruptions, now become the primary focus. They become freedom fighters. They become the cause of the people. They want their inventions back. They want the freedom to invent. They want access to ether, the energy that powers, that fuels their inventions. They must stage a revolt, an Aether Revolt, to gain their freedom back.
So our first story spotlight is Consulate Crackdown, and we take some time after we saw our planeswalkers in the arena in the Kaladesh set, and Tezzeret has now installed himself as Grand Consul of all of the consulate, and he has used his power to take all of the inventions that were in the fair to limit the ether supply for everybody. He's installed this ether quota, rerouted it to where he's hanging out up in an inspiring aquarium. And so people can no longer power their inventions, they can no longer use their daily life, things that they're used to. All of these things have been taken from them. He's installed a curfew. It's pretty bleak for the citizens of Kaladesh.
Consulate Crackdown worked really well as a marriage between a story moment, all of the inventions being taken away, and a card we just really wanted to make for the block anyway. We knew that as we were introducing this second set full of artifacts, we were going to want to put some safety measures in place for players. If things really got out of control, a powerful card you could have in your sideboard to fight against that stuff. So this is exactly the type of card, exiling all artifacts, even if it's just temporary, that we wanted to make in this set, and that the story moment, the request we were getting from creative, sort of led us to making anyway.
Pia is known as Renegade Prime. She's been the face of Renegades even before there was this full-on revolution, and this is her moment to shine, essentially, that everything she believed about the consulate has come true. And if you look at, here's another interesting note, is that Pia's revolution is actually supposed to go side by side with Chandra's revolution, that mother and daughter are fighting back to back.
Chandra is all about blowing things up. So we went to her home world, and it was this peaceful place, this celebration of this and that, and Chandra didn't get to blow anything up. And it's okay, well, at least on the second set, can we let Chandra blow something up? And well, of course, let's have a revolution. So finally Chandra gets to do what Chandra gets to do, blow things up, but at home.
With a card like Consulate Crackdown that's there as a safety valve, we also wanted to introduce some things that gave you a little bit more resilience for the deck that you're trying to put together. So now that we have all these additional artifacts, if you have a combo, but it's really fragile and you are worried about it getting broken up, this is a card you can add to your deck to get a little bit more resilience on those cards. And then also it functions in an artifact aggro deck, where you can play this if your opponent's just got a ton of removal spells, and regardless of whether they kill your creature, now they have to choose to take more damage, which they might not be able to afford to do, or give you the card back.
So Pia's Revolution is a card I love because it lets you continuously sacrifice the same artifacts over and over again, every time putting your opponent in a bind of, oh, do I want to take the 3 damage, or let my opponent keep on drawing cards off their Terrarium.
Disallow is where we see Chandra's nemesis from her time on Kaladesh. This is Baral, who's been promoted to the Chief of Compliance, who is a mage like Chandra, which is an oddity on Kaladesh, somebody who could wield magic naturally. And his specialty is counter magic. and he's very good at at goading Chandra at this crucial time when the Renegades are at this moment of triumph. They've taken over the Aether Hub, but now it falls to Baral to take it back. And the way he does that is by provoking Chandra to do something reckless, which, if you know Chandra, is not very hard to do.
So Disallow is a very versatile way of countering things. It shows Baral taunting Chandra, who has a history where he was almost going to execute her. So the card lets you counter any spell activated ability or triggered ability, which is actually very good against some Eldrazi that came before in Shadows over Innistrad block.
To try to capture Tezzeret, we made Battle at the Bridge. And one of the things that's neat, whenever you do, convoke, improvise-like things, it's kind of neat to do X spells. You don't want to do them often because it can be a little confusing, but at a higher rarity, it's kind of fun. And so this card is kind of neat in that Tezzeret uses the artifacts around him, right? So the more artifacts there are, the more dangerous he is. And so this is like, the flavor is just dripping off the card. It's like, oh, the more artifacts you have, basically the more damage you can do. You get to be Tezzeret.
A lot of the more controlling artifact decks need to spend their early turns playing cards like Prophetic Prism that let their later cards work but don't do much to stop an early aggression. Battle of a Bridge lets you recover all that life you lost while you are playing cards like Prophetic Prism.
Yeah, I love cards, and when I was a tournament player, I would keep track of how many zombies I could make with a bridge from below, or how big, I could get. Things that you don't necessarily need, but that are nice to have. Battle of the Bridge actually lets you have a leaderboard. I gained 20 life. I gained 34 life. So it actually does scale in a meaningful way, but not something you'll do too often, which is really cool.
So the card Dark Intimations points to kind of involvement from one of Magic's villains who we've seen working behind the scenes for some time. This is Nagle Bolas. This is the ancient, the powerful dragon planeswalker. Bolas is the schemer. Bolas is the one who is kind of setting all sorts of plans into motion. And Tezzeret is just one of the kind of cogs in a greater scheme.
We were looking back to what we could do to give Bolas sort of a signature kind of spell, and Cruel Ultimatum was the standout card, so we sort of made a miniature version of that in Dark Intimations.
Wait, a blue, black, red card that talks about Nicole Bolas? Could he be behind this? Could the masterpiece, the puppet master, be behind this all? People have been bugging me for a long time to get Bolas back. Like, when are you bringing Bolas back? So finally, hopefully this card will say to people, hey guys, he might be coming back.
So Kaladesh was one of my very favorite worlds, the optimism, the brightness, but now it is time to turn that world on its head. Everything is going up in the air. We're gonna see a revolt on the most beautiful world with the most genius people, and it's gonna be crazy.